Coming up on today's episode of Airborne Unlimited. It may be bargain time for ADS-B equipment. GAMA releases 2014 year-end shipment and billing numbers. And general aviation is turning its back on the Bahamas. Welcome to Airborne Unlimited. I'm Ashley Hale. The NextGen GA Fund has announced the launch of Jumpstart GA 2020 to accelerate general aviation community installations of ADS-B out avionics. The Jumpstart supply chain is provided through partnerships with qualified avionics manufacturers that has led to unprecedented pricing. As many as 20,000 ADS-B out and in units will eventually be sourced through Jumpstart. The NextGen GA Fund plans a series of large volume orders placed with suppliers offering the best combination of pricing, product availability, warranty, and product features. The NextGen GA Fund has secured an initial order for 10,000 L3 Lynx NG1000 ADS-B out units, manufactured by L3 Aviation Products of Grand Rapids, Michigan. These units will be ready to ship to FAA-certified repair stations and distributors beginning in June of 2015. Orders can be placed by FAA-approved repair stations and dealers through the NextGen GA Fund or to L3 Avionics Products directly. Pricing is expected to be announced soon. The General Aviation Manufacturers Association released the worldwide 2014 year-end aircraft billing and shipment numbers at its annual State of the Industry press conference. GAMA's Pete Bunce reported that for the year, total worldwide general aviation airplane shipments rose from 2,353 units in 2013 to 2,454 units in 2014. Billings for GA airplanes worldwide increased to $24.5 billion, up from $23.4 billion in 2013. This fixed-wing billings increase marks the second largest sales value recorded after 2008, when billings were $24.8 billion. Shipments of piston-engine airplanes were positive, rising 9.6% in 2014. Business jet shipments also rose 6.5% from 2013. Turboprop shipments declined, however, by 6.5%. Rotorcraft shipments slowed for both piston and turbine aircraft compared to the previous year. A total of 230 rotorcraft and 741 turbine rotorcraft were shipped in 2014, which is a 31.3% and a 22.4% reduction, respectively. Bunce said, quote, "The mixed results among segments indicate that the general aviation manufacturing industry is still facing headwinds, given the tepid U.S. economy recovery and the political and economic uncertainties in Europe," end quote. GAMA will be challenged by a number of pressing issues as this year continues. After the break, the Bahamas have turned unfriendly to general aviation.
The KSN 770 is an affordable, WAS-enabled integrated MFD with a flexible hybrid user interface from Bendix King. Get your fingers on the 770's perfect blend of touchscreen and hard buttons. Easily control your GPS navigation, NavCom, weather, traffic, and terrain in any condition. For more information, go to bendixking.com.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propeller has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We are Hartzell Propeller.
Welcome back. If you have a story suggestion for Airborne Unlimited, send us an email to news-spy@aero-news.net. Flying to the Bahamas is becoming more and more expensive, and taxes are the culprit. Tom Patton explains.
This just seems to go against common sense. Let's say your business relies heavily on tourism and you want more business, so you impose taxes that make everything more expensive. While that sort of business plan may sound ridiculous to most, it apparently seems like a good idea in the Bahamas. It's reported that general aviation travel to the Bahama Islands has decreased by 22% over the past several years, in part because of increased taxes on GA visitors. The price of fuel has increased significantly, and part of the reason for that is a value-added tax. There's also a $50 each-way arrival and departure tax, and an additional tax of $29 for each passenger on board a private airplane. That means what used to be a common day trip adventure with 4 people in the aircraft is now running $166 in airport fees, plus an additional 7.5% in fuel taxes. It's no wonder some analysts say GA pilots are now avoiding the Bahamas in droves. For Airborne, I'm Tom Patton.
It's Thursday, which means that it's time for an Aero Community Update, highlighting news and information about the incredible people and organizations that populate the Airborne Partnership Initiative behind Airborne Unlimited. This week, we have the pleasure of acknowledging a member of our Airborne Partnership Initiative that literally needs no introduction except for 3 letters, EAA. The Experimental Aircraft Association was founded by Paul H. Poberezny in 1953, with a vision of establishing and promoting a strong community for the furtherance of home-building aircraft. Thousands of home-built airplanes fill the skies in large part because of the EAA and what it's done for those who desire the rewarding experience of building and flying their own aircraft. However, the EAA has expanded far beyond the goals of its origin. It now represents hundreds of thousands of aviation-minded people who fly for recreation and enjoyment. And of course, the annual EAA convention, known as EAA AirVenture Oshkosh, is a world-renowned aviation event. We at ANN are honored to be associated with this fine organization. After these messages, ALPA and airlines voice concern over unfair competition.
Sandia introduces the new SAI 340 Quattro standby instrument, TSO'd airspeed, attitude, altitude, and slip. With integral backup battery, safety never looked so good. See it now at www.sandia.aero. AML's patent-pending wireless induction charging system eliminates confusion over those charging cables, cuts down cockpit cable clutter, and allows you and your passengers to fly cordless and eliminate the cable nightmare. www.aviationmodificationleaders.com.
Redbird Flight Simulations is dedicated to revolutionizing flight training by designing, manufacturing, and delivering affordable and innovative flight training technologies. Each Redbird device is designed to enhance the training experience for pilots of all levels, from student to ATP. Redbird is quickly becoming the industry standard for flight training. Since Redbird introduced its revolutionary FMX in 2007, colleges, universities, and flight training operations around the world have integrated Redbird products into their curriculum. It's time to discover what Redbird can do for you. Join the migration.
Welcome back. With so much news coming out of the aviation industry, we've summarized some other interesting stories in a brief segment we call Around the Pad. The Airline Pilots Association and a couple of U.S. airlines has asked the U.S. Export-Import Bank to reject Norwegian Air Shuttle's application for financing. They claim an approval of financing creates unfair competition in the U.S. Here's a note to add to your live TV news broadcast safety handbook. If you're demonstrating the safety of UAV operation on live television, don't crash it into the camera equipment. That's what happened on a Fox News broadcast. Flight attendants on Turkish Airlines can now report service and cabin issues using iPads instead of paper. They claim it's easier to use and addresses important issues as soon as they arise. They call it the Digital Cabin Management System. Bell Helicopter has reached a licensing agreement to transfer product support responsibility of the Bell 214B and ST models to Erickson Incorporated. This includes spare parts, technical assistance, maintenance training, maintenance, and MRO services. Well, that's it for today's trip around the patch. Let's move on to the rest of the news. According to a New York Times report, an industry leader is calling for UAV regulations to be tailored to the operation of the UAV. Jesse Coleman, the head of business development and regulatory affairs at AirWare, a startup that produces a kind of operating system for drones, has called for regulations that take into account the levels of risk for different types of uses. Coleman is reported as saying, monitoring crops on a remote Nebraska farm is far different than monitoring a crowd at a football stadium or other events. Coleman says that if regulations are too tight, they will smother innovation in the U.S. and send developers overseas. The report says that U.S. regulators have a history of giving industry some latitude to get started, and it's often successful, citing examples of technology like Wi-Fi and the Internet. UAVs could be the next beneficiary of a looser regulatory concept. Well, that's our program for Thursday, February 12th. Remember to get comprehensive real-time 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. Remember, Airborne Unlimited is streamed daily, Monday through Friday. Join us every weekday along with a growing roster of over 100 outstanding industry associations and organizations for the best in aviation and aerospace news. I'm Ashley Hale. Thanks for watching.